Welcome to Hort Culture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture. Okay, that was me hitting the button, so if it ended really abruptly, you're welcome. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Good, awesome.
Greetings.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Hort Culture. If you're new here and if you're a true leaf and have been around for a while, thanks for coming back. And I'm just, if you hear any wind in the background, it's because, well, we live in Kentucky and it's apparently the windiest place now. No longer Kansas. It's just us. So
Not tooting. It's not tooting. It's wind. Okay.
Exactly. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not panicking about
Nobody's stressed about the high winds and the storms coming in later.
Nobody has giant plastic, basically kite structures on their property.
Right.
It's you know, we did find out the other day though. Brett, correct me if I say this wrong, but Kentucky's like this, like number 2 behind California for the amount of like land under cover,
like under agricultural land that's protected, like a high tunnel or a greenhouse in terms of acreage.
Cool. Yeah, so we're only behind California, and
that's
the
wild
US,
to think about.
Is why we're all panicked about high winds and tornadoes and hail. So
yeah,
look at that, throwing in some facts with some anxiety.
Wow, I love that. Not the wind part, but the part about the facts.
Us being awesome. Yeah.
Who is that voice I just heard? Is there someone joining us today on the podcast, Alexis?
We have a special guest.
Well, somebody extra special, I believe. The other half of the A team, as we formerly called ourselves. So introduce you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alethea Bruzek. I'm the Boyle County Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences. And when you were talking about the high tunnels, it reminded me that we got plastic put on ours at the office now. So,
yep, that's awesome.
going to be happening.
Also, might fly away.
Fly away. Completely possible. It's on top of a hill. So,
in the lead up to getting started on this, we had a few things in the conversation with Alethea that were callbacks to previous episodes. One, you've experienced some white pine decline.
I have.
We've talked about this in the past. We all love white pines, but you know that heavy clay soil.
They look great in your yard while they're living. I will just say that time can be cut short because they are not native. I learned they are not native to this part of
this area.
Yeah.
So I had 4 in my yard. I now have 2.
You have another. Well, you have another tree in your backyard that you've learned a lot about this past winter, 2 winters ago.
Yes.
So what? Tell me about that time you text me.
Oh, yes. I got so excited because I thought to myself, let's try and see if I can do maple syrup in my yard because I have maple trees in my yard.
She's a backyard homesteader, guys. All right. She's family and consumer science, but this girl
I identify as horticulture.
Yes.
Bees, chickens, all sorts of things.
Yep. We do have one chicken and she has started laying eggs.
Again, congratulations.
She's old, right?
She is old.
Oh, she's one of the original girls.
She's one of the
and she has started laying eggs, and I'm so proud of her. But the trees in my yard, oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I swear. I wanted to make maple syrup, and so I tapped these trees in my yard because they're big enough. And they seemed appropriate. I did. And I put the bucket and the little piping and the stuff, hooked it all up. Was so excited. Nothing came out of the tree. And I'm like, why is this not working? I did everything by the publication because extension publications, choice. That's where you get your information. And so I did this only to realize they're oak trees.
Well,
she was like, I have tapped the maple tree in my backyard. And I said, babe, I don't think you have a maple tree in your backyard. You have one.
Yes, I do. I told him. I told you. I was like, no. Yes, I do. I have them.
Yeah.
And they're big enough to tap. And so I did.
And I was like,
in terms of the scale of mistake, you could have tapped the pine trees, and that would have been really
that would have
embarrassing.
been, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
resiny,
nice,
maybe like a nice
sticky,
IPA or something out of that.
Right?
sticky mess.
I'll try it.
And we have one more before we jump in. Tree-related update from a previous episode, which is Jessica. They got some trees planted at the park near you.
I did, yeah.
I made a joke about how people sometimes don't know about seasonality, and that you should plant some orange trees so that the soccer players could have orange slices after their. And we had uproarious laughter across our listener base at that joke, and it just reminded me. And they planted a lot of oaks and some.
Yeah,
what else
we did. We have a really large park that is lacking a lot of trees in Harrodsburg, and we did a diverse group of trees because we didn't want to have a monoculture, right? And everybody loves red maples, but if we don't plant another red maple for another 10 years, that will be okay. So yeah, we did chinkapin oaks, we did Kentucky coffee tree, Shumard oaks, willow oaks. There's one more that I'm forgetting, I think. Oh, we did some bald cypress too.
Yes, it was something bald.
Yeah.
Bald tree.
So that's our first of many plantings out at that park, and we had
that's exciting.
Some really large trees, like the largest our little group has ever planted. Where thankfully the city brings their little excavator and helps dig out the holes, which we're very thankful for.
Shout out to the city.
But they also had to lift some of the trees off the trailer. They were that large, and never had we installed trees that large before. But just the very first of many plantings that can happen out at that park.
So lots of watering happening in the summer.
Yes, I have water bags currently sitting in my office floor that will go out there when needed.
Wow. Kentucky coffee tree, as lumber, smells terrible.
Does it?
It smells like vomit, frankly.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I made some cutting boards out of it, and I was all ready to gear up and sell them. Kentucky coffee tree, and then as soon as you start cutting vegetables on it, it smells like something you don't eat. Something you did eat, maybe.
Huh.
And
yeah, it was weird.
So strange.
Compounds that
are you're gonna have to find that out.
The coffee tree that make it smell like that, because I am, you know what? I'm honestly mad. Speaking of the coffee tree, you brought it up. I am mad that it is no longer the state tree, because literally it is in the Latin name Gymnocladus kentuckiana, and it's like, why did they? And it was the state tree. And then they were like, oh, no, we're going to make it the yellow tulip poplar, which is a perfectly okay tree. I'm not downing it.
Very basic.
But it's very basic. Yeah, it's the golden retriever of the
I guess you find
trees.
it everywhere, right? Versus the coffee tree, you don't see it everywhere.
Well,
but it was very confusing being in elementary school.
Maybe more people would plant it if they knew that it was the state tree.
Right.
Maybe if it got recognition it deserved, literally as Kentucky in the name, but... I have
that it was the state tree.
It was literally going from elementary school and then starting middle school, and they were like, "Oh, hey, it's not. You're wrong. It's not the Kentucky coffee tree anymore."
Rude.
Like, why? Why did it?
Yeah, this was a recent thing. This wasn't like 100 years ago.
Yeah, so that's like a post 9/11 kind of thing era.
Pre,
like right around.
Because we have some people who are probably listening who are like, middle school. You were in middle school. Where was I? And the answer is you might not have been born.
You might not have been born.
And I was around then. So
meeting more and more people in that age range now. That's kind of like, yes, I am old now.
I have one more tree update. I'm going to jam one more tree update. We have in our front yard, and you mentioned the Kentucky in the name. We planted this past year a Cladrastis kentuckia, a Kentucky yellowwood in our front yard.
Love
extremely obscure deep cut of kind of native shade trees. It's in the Fabaceae group, I believe, and so like same thing, same general ballpark as peas, which is a vibe. So,
is it nitrogen fixing?
Not
all Fabaceae.
I'm not exactly sure about that.
Like, I think redbud's in the same family, and it does not fix nitrogen. Is that right, Jess?
I think you are correct. That sounds correct to me.
I also have some hardy rosewoods on the back porch. Dalbergia, which is in Fabaceae.
The red buds are popping right now.
They be popping.
Stunning.
Yeah,
Beautiful right now. All the Bradford pears are slowly disappearing. I mean, they're still there, but the flowers. But the red buds are really.
The magnolias
nice.
popped this year. If you were in Kentucky, you probably saw we hit like that perfect window of where it was like just didn't get too cold, and they lush.
Well, so the plant dorks have had their say now, Alethea.
Okay.
And it's just, I'm not one of them. I'm one of the cool ones, But you mentioned earlier that you kind of you have identify with horticulture, and you have that connection. I'm just curious, in your life, work, whatever, like how do you intersect with horticulture and with the world of plants?
Ooh, very much. I will say I do enjoy gardening. I give it a shot. And I have asked Alexis and Jessica many times over the years, lots of logistic questions so that I can try and be successful, because anybody can put a tomato plant in a bucket and try and get it to grow. But, ask somebody for some help sometimes. It's helpful to know that you should put one jalapeno plant per 1 gallon bucket or sized pot instead of 3 or 4.
Because what happens if you do put 3 or 4?
They're lava. They are the hottest jalapenos you will ever
capsaicin is concentrated.
They are
jalapeno.
Yeah, jalapenos for sure. They were the hottest jalapenos I've ever grown ever in my day. And
you watered them like 8 times a day.
Oh yeah, you had to. And I'd have to put more soil in there because the soil would start to go down. And I'm like, why are these jalapenos so needy? Because I should have put 4 plants in 4 different pots instead of one. One pot. One gallon pot.
You live and you learn.
Live and learn. But now I've got a bunch of raised beds, and my husband has put in this really cool irrigation system because watering is very important. And you want to make sure that the watering is consistent so your tomatoes turn out gigantic, the size of the bread. So when you make your BLT, there's coverage with one thick slice.
That's how you know you've done it right.
That's how you know.
You have blackberries too, don't you?
Well, see, what had happened was I was very ambitious last year, and I went to one of our local farmers' plant sale and absolutely loved all the stuff that they had there, and had big dreams. And I got,
as we all do in the spring, that's totally normal. Yes,
yeah, I bought them. I did. I got some blackberry plants, and then I didn't end up planting them. Because I didn't get the trellis built, and one thing after another, they did become crispy and die. But we know what to do this year instead.
Well, you did avoid. You may not have planted them, but you also avoided a massive problem of not having a trellis in place. So there's not optimal solutions in life. Sometimes you have to pick and choose.
I feel like that meme that probably most of you have seen if you are on any type of plant stuff. That's it's that like how I feel, or as an experienced gardener, what I say when plants die, and it's like the Loki, and it's like, yes, very sad. Moving on.
Right.
Because like all of us with an experience have killed so many things and continue to kill so many things every single year. Even though we know better and have experience, and
it's always like you feel bad for people who are like so upset over losing a single plant, because then you feel bad because you're just like, get you another one. Let's propagate it.
I forgot to water.
I have led so many plants to Jesus. Like I try really hard, but I don't remember to water them. And I will admit, Alexis would water the plants in my office, and the plants in my office now.
Oh no!
There are not any. There's one. Oh, I know there's one. I have a jade plant.
Yeah.
Did you ever bring the orchid back to life? I remember there was an orchid one time you were trying to bring back to life. Oh, okay.
Nope.
Well, I would imagine many of our listeners can commiserate and even share some experiences with you. And so, we obviously count you among the Hort squad, and accept you as our own, first among true leaves.
Thank you.
But that's not the thing that you do in your working time, and kind of what people might know. You said something like, there's a science, and it's something about families, and there's consumers involved.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's funny that you mention the name Family and Consumer Sciences, because in America, we're the only country who calls it that. Everybody else still calls it home economics, which is kind of brings it all together, Like I like the Family and Consumer Sciences part because it does bring in a little bit more of the science part, and like lets you know that there is science involved in, home economics, because there's so much that goes into it, especially when you're thinking about canning and food preservation. That is very scientific. Ooh, I almost forgot to tell you, I am learning about a new form. Well, it's not a new form of food preservation, but it's fermenting. I'm working on doing some fermenting so that I can teach that as
What are you
well along
fermenting?
with
What are you fermenting?
Yeah.
I am making sauerkraut.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
I got a crock, and I have,
wow.
it's a 2-gallon crock, and it's made out of clay. And I put 6 cabbages in it. The first day I could fit 4 in there. And then you weight it down and let the juice come out. And then I added more cabbage the next day. And now it's been 3 days, so I'm leaving it. I'm going to leave it for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
see how tangy it gets. If it needs to be more tangy, I'll leave it in longer. If it's tangy to my liking, we're going to have sauerkraut and try that. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Describe for me your ideal balance, because this is I'm a long time kraut maker myself.
Really?
The balance between crunchy and tangy. If you had to choose crunch or tang, which would you prefer? And where? Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
That's
like the
awesome.
tangy. I like that flavor, because pickles are my favorite. They're so good. Anything vinegary, salty, like tangy, got that. I've been doing I've been eating a lot of kimchi lately. I haven't personally made any yet, but it's next on the list. That and kombucha. I got a SCOBY to do that.
Wow, you're going
Yeah.
whole
I love it. Teach me
culture,
your
whole
ways.
hog, whole
I
culture.
did.
I don't
I
know.
got this book. I borrowed this book from my dear friend Mary Robin, and then I had Sonera order me a copy because I might have to return this, but I really like it. I want to write
What's
in
it called? I'll
What
put
does
a
it
link
say?
to it.
It is the Noma Guide to Fermentation by Renee Redzepi and David Zilber.
Well, we're all going to
It
have to sign
won,
up for your class and come when you
right?
teach us.
It's going to be so much fun. It'll be probably in like June or something, because I want to have different stages to show you of
Yes.
the
It's a good idea.
sauerkraut, so you kind of see what it's like. But it's the oldest. Fermentation is the oldest form of food preservation and the safest. So if you follow the recipe, get you an extension recipe. Hit me up if you need that. But yeah, get one of those and just follow the recipe and be patient and wait for the magic to happen.
Well, let me I'll just throw this out. I don't know if you have to follow. We regularly, a staple in our house is sauerkraut grilled cheese. Sauerkraut's melt.
That sounds so good.
It's so good.
That sounds
It is
really good.
And with the tang, if you get it tangy and you've got like a fairly, nice rich cheese, a little crunch on the outside, a little, roastiness from the bread.
I like it in rye bread specifically.
I bet that'd be really good.
Right. Listen, Annie, Brad's wife, got me in on that. I think I told her I was eating sauerkraut out of a jar at some point, and she was like, do it with grilled cheese. And I had rye bread, get some cheese,
Yeah, we've also done sauerkraut, like sauerkraut pizza, where we do like a cheese pizza and then top it with sauerkraut and maybe some pickles. Pretty much if you go like carb, cheese, sauerkraut, you're like in good shape.
You can't go wrong.
There's other things you can sub out for the fat, but the tang of the sauerkraut against the richness of the cheese. So you're part of your FCS stuff is food stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not all of it, right?
No, that's not all of it, but that is what people really love the most of. I did a cooking class this past Saturday, and we made a bunch of different breakfast foods, and that was a lot of fun. But I also do all sorts of things like budgeting classes and family resource management type stuff, parenting, health, safety, wellness, mental health. I've been trying to do
So
some
much
fun stuff with mental health because the weather's getting good and we've got these nice walking trails out here. Spending time outside is a great way to be mindful. So be looking for those programs on the horizon. But yeah, I do anything that has to do with the family from birth to death. All of it. All of that, everywhere, everything in between. There's no question off limits, which is fun sometimes. Not gonna lie, very fun. But
yeah. We when I was in Boyle County, Alethea and I did a series, a couple different versions of this, but like a garden to table type series. And so, we had the sort of like garden aspect of it. Here's how you can grow your tomatoes or cucumbers, and then a recipe as well as some sort of like preservation technique for that. So that was really cool because not only was it like here's a way to eat it right now, but also if you have a bumper crop of zucchini, here's some options for it. And I think I really always appreciated that because we all know there's always a bumper crop of zucchini and like cherry tomatoes and basil and stuff like that. So talk maybe a bit about just some of those. We mentioned fermenting, which is I'm really excited about that, like you're into that, because I have learned so much from you on canning and freezing and just like basic things, and also like, hey, not that I was doing this, but don't put your eggs in lime water, you will poison yourself.
Right. Don't trust the Facebook, right?
Don't trust what Pinterest necessarily tells you.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I feel like it's definitely worth saying. The internet is a great source of information. It is a great source of information. Not all of the information on the internet is safe or correct, especially when it comes to food preservation. So always call your extension office and ask someone, or look at extension publications for, food preservation and stuff like that, because that they've been tested and that they're safe.
One of those handy places where family and consumer science comes in.
Yes, because we test those recipes and make sure that they're safe.
That has been done
instead of
because even like some of your like my experience with canning, some of the canning books that I've had recommend one thing, but since I'm like around you all and I like hear things about like, oh, tomatoes should be processed at this amount of time, like some of the books you even get might not have like actual safe recommendations for like the United States, right? Depending on where your book's coming from. So just being able to double check with you guys is very helpful.
Yeah, I'm so glad, and I love when people call and ask me questions. We've been getting ready for canning season and all of that. Part of the garden to table programming that we would do, I'd talk about how to cook as well as preserve the vegetables that you grow, because like you said, you might get a whole lot of zucchini, we'll get a whole lot of zucchini, and you might need recipes, or you might want to dehydrate them and make, those really awesome little zucchini chips. I'm going to have to make some of those. I'd kind of forgotten about them, and now I've remembered them. Anyway, but yeah, and how to, properly freeze things so that you can use your produce later on in the season when stuff may not be fresh anymore. So yeah, lots of
freezing is by far my favorite way because it's the easiest.
It's easy peasy. So easy.
Is there anything off the top of your head from like a garden produce? Obviously there are like general things, but those people who maybe have a market garden, or just like, I want to have plenty to put away for the winter months because I was so sad not having something I grew in my winter, meal. What shouldn't you freeze? Is there anything that like you just don't recommend?
I wouldn't freeze lettuce. Like your salad lettuce, your salad greens. One thing that you can freeze that is a common salad green is spinach. But because you can use that in a whole lot of different things. You can buy it frozen.
Soup season.
Dips, all kinds of things.
Stock veneer.
Your like you just want to know that not everything that you freeze is going to come out of the freezer the same way that it went
Right.
in.
Yeah.
Like you can freeze, bell peppers and stuff, chop them up, measure them, have them ready for recipes, fajitas, soups, stews, whatever. Just know that they're not going to come out as crisp
With a
and
fresh bell pepper.
as a
Yeah.
fresh bell pepper, but you can still use it in your items and it's going to be good. It's going to be great, nutritious, worth it. So,
I don't lose any of those nutritious value when you freeze.
yeah. And some things you need to cook a little bit before you put them in the freezer to stop their their maturing process so that they're not brown and old and gross. Like you're going to want to cook your corn before you put it in the freezer. You're going to want to peel some things like tomatoes before you freeze those because that peel just comes out squishy and weird. So you definitely want to blanch those, peel those, throw them in an ice bath, and then freeze them, chop them up, however you'd like to store them. I will tell you, I've had a great time. We had started a food pantry a couple weeks ago, and we had a bunch of yellow onions left over. So we have been dehydrating the onions because you can dehydrate those and use them in all sorts of things, as well as grind it down to a powder, and you've got onion powder. So, you can make your own seasonings. Works really well with herbs. Oh, we did a good class with the herbs. When we did garden to table. That was a lot of fun.
Cool.
We had those dried and did different compound oils and butters and vinegars. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, Alexis asked, like, what should we not freeze? And then I assume, like, if we think about canning, what is, like, one of the big things? Like, I can think of something that I know a lot of people talk about wanting to can all the time, but then, like, our recommendations or your all's recommendations are, like, you should avoid, but you see it processed commercially as, like, pumpkin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, so is there any other, like, big ones that are you like, clearly you're like, "No, we can't can that." Like, is there any other ones out there?
Yeah, I've had people come in with milk that they have
Yeah,
canned,
I don't get that.
or goat's milk, or raw milk of any kind. Like when you're getting into dairy, it's very important to not. I have
to not.
Just
Why
no.
not?
I wouldn't. I mean, just because you can process something in a jar and that jar can seal does not mean that it is safe for you to put on your shelf in your pantry and keep it and open it up and use it like normal.
Right.
That's just not it needs to go through a very different process, and some of those processes can't be done at home. They have to be done commercially.
So you're telling me that there is a limit to your can-do attitude.
There is a limit to your can-do attitude.
I see. I see. Well, I'm curious. I have a question. This may be a total flop of a question, but here we go. When you all were working, when you, Alexis and Alethea, were working together and you were doing these workshops or you were working with people, did you tend to have people who were gardeners who were looking to preserve, or preservers who were looking to get into gardening?
Oh, that's a great question.
And was there a difference in how they thought or what they did or anything?
Yeah. I feel we had several people who had gotten into gardening and they wanted to learn about canning and preserving their produce. And I don't know, I feel like we've had so many different people who have had different experiences. We've had people who did a big garden and then canned a bunch of stuff. We've had people to um, can be used to canning and just buying the produce, and now they're like, well, I can I grow this? Can I grow enough? How much do I need to grow to be able to put up 25 quarts of tomato juice or whatever they want to do? We've had a lot of people come in and from both sides of that.
Yeah, I would say like it's probably more people who are gardening and then like want to preserve it, but definitely, Alethea, there's the people who come in and are just like, well, how many? what's realistic, right? Like they kind of think through it, and they're like, all right, well, normally I buy 2 bushels of corn at the farmer's market, and it costs me this much. How much is it going to cost me to, basically grow that much corn? And, just, maybe they moved and they have area for it or something along those lines. Their grandkids want to grow a garden. And so they're like, well, but yeah,
Can you put a
you're
price
right
on the connection to the land, Alexis?
Depends on who you ask.
Some people certainly can. So you're talking about kind of like people are, the word you said was realistic. And so the original idea for this episode came, I saw something, I think on Facebook, and I immediately implemented it in my life without checking whether it was based on science. Sorry, I didn't do that. We learned not to do that. I saw this thing on Facebook that was about, it's this thing I'm kind of always skeptical of, which is this idea of like, here's a prescription of how much to plant to support a family of 4 on a 1/4 acre in a blah, blah, blah. Back when we used to have our backyard about 1/10 of an acre fully in vegetables, people would ask us, so do you grow all your own food for the whole year there? I was like, we do not. Those are all vegetables. I occasionally prefer like a carb and a protein, in the mix
balanced
sometimes.
meal.
That's right. I try. I try to keep my FCS friends happy with a nice balanced meal. So, how do you approach this question of what's realistic? Are people being maybe too ambitious, not ambitious enough? You mentioned the 25 quarts of tomato juice. Like, how did you answer that or approach that or get people started thinking about it?
Oh, that's definitely an Alexis question. Of course, it's funny, when Alexis worked here, we were oftentimes confused for each other. Very often by
people who have met us.
Who have met us and been to our classes and know our areas. And people would still ask me things like, how many tomato plants should I plant? Or, what do I do with how do I, garden this plot of land that I have? And then I would just direct them to Alexis.
This is the wrong A name.
Yep, right. Wrong A name. Let me know.
You all worked so seamlessly as a team, they couldn't tell where one began and the other ended.
And then I grew all these tomatoes. I got to can them now. And I'm like, I can't, that one, go to that
Can't
one.
help you. Yeah.
But Alethea, I think what you were so good at was when people were like, I'm going to, I could tell them, okay, you need to grow, 15 tomato plants or, whatever. And these are the kind that are better for canning, or these are the kind that are better for freezing. But what I think you were good at was helping people understand that if their goal is to, consume mostly what they've grown, obviously, unless they're having meat birds or, pigs or cows or whatever it is. If we're just thinking about their goal is to eat as many vegetables that they have produced, this is what we're talking about here. Talking to them about like sort of like something well balanced, I think, is where you were really great. And also thinking about, freezing versus canning versus dehydrating and what all that entails and what you should do, better. Cause like, I think we can walk people through, how many zucchini plants is too many zucchini plants? Two is too many.
Right.
Too many.
But, then what, after I tell them, 2 zucchini plants will give you enough zucchini for 3 years for 15 people. She jokes, but also maybe not.
But also it's true.
What you were there to kind of guide them through that. And so maybe kind of talk about your approach if somebody comes to you and it's like, I know how many plants I need, but then I don't know what to do.
Oh, I always love to give people lots of recipes because a lot of times, and I'll also talk a little bit about getting kids to eat vegetables because I get that question a lot. And when you involve kids in the process of growing a little garden, teaching them how plants, work and all of that, and how you end up with this thing that you can eat, and then they get to, from start to finish, be a part of that and see that that helps them to want to try those things. And I'll give you all the recipes you could ever need, because a lot of times people don't like certain vegetables and they'll write them off, but they've only had it cooked one way, or they've only had
Brussels
it
sprouts
in one type of
boiled.
Yeah, and they're delicious.
Oh my word. That could be a step 1 in the cooking process for Brussels sprouts.
You gotta find me a
like
beets recipe. You gotta find me.
Beets. We can definitely do that. The simplest, most wonderful recipe: roasted beets. So you roast them, and then
if you put some feta in there with them.
I'm gonna yes, slice them up. Put some goat cheese. Put some feta cheese.
Oh no, you lost me again.
She doesn't do the
drizzle of honey. Get
or balsamic.
That sounds good.
Some toasted chopped pistachios. Sorry for our peanut tree nut allergy folks, but pistachios on top of so good.
Throw some Nerds gummies in there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe add those.
It's all balanced, right?
Yeah, it's balance. We're all trying to. I'm never going to tell you to eliminate something from your diet. Of course, listen to your doctor.
I was just trying to help you all win Jessica back on beets, then goat cheese out. It's a tough start.
It's one of those vegetables. Like, they know this. Everybody knows this now on this podcast, that I always try them, and every time I'm just like, nope.
Tastes like
yet.
It's a no thank you bite.
Not thank you bite. Not this year. Maybe next year.
I love that you keep trying it though. That's what Alethea always says.
I love that because you got to try them different ways. You might find a way that you like them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you say that there is like a goal or anything to be said about like how much of, again, going back to sort of this, I'm gonna, have all the vegetables I eat this winter are from my garden. Is there, like a go for 30% of it canned, 30% of it frozen, or is it totally up to, that person and maybe even that vegetable?
Yeah, it really is up to the person or the family, because I'd always suggest growing things that your family is going to eat. If your family all hates beets, maybe don't grow beets and then can beets and then have a bunch of beets on hand.
Although pickled beets, Jessica, you like pickled beets?
I don't know if I do.
Because you like pickled
beets. I like
that
pickles.
tanginess takes the earthy flavor down a few notches.
And then you can put your eggs in the beet juice and you have really pretty pink pickled eggs.
They're so pretty.
They are so pretty.
And yummy.
Your Easter game just goes up a notch.
You're obsessed with putting eggs in liquid. What is your deal?
That's your topic today.
I'm gonna have to send you a recipe of those marinated eggs. Or you hard boil them and then marinate them in the soy sauce and ginger. And garlic.
I want those. I want to do that.
The soft boiled. Yeah.
You just put them in that container and let them get all.
We go through so many hard boiled eggs a week. We've had this also discussion before about like how many scrambled eggs do you think?
How many eggs? How many eggs will give you the ick?
Right.
If this was a Facebook meme, that would be a flex. You'd be like, I'm rich, son.
Right, real.
Yeah.
Eggs are a little expensive. They used to be a great budget-friendly source of protein, but now they are just a source of protein.
Right.
Do you recommend just like cans of tuna now? Like what are we recommending?
Yeah. Go with whatever's on sale. I do love when there's a 10 for 10 of those pouches of tuna.
Yes.
Love that. Love that. Great source of protein. Still budget friendly.
Miss tuna currently, but
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had to educate my husband on why pregnant women couldn't eat fish or sushi or ham, or he was
the
like,
lunch
what?
meat stuff. Yep.
He was like, they can't eat any of that? I was like, where have you been? How do you not know this?
You can eat like cooked salmon. That's good. There's certain things.
But he was like,
and there's other things you gotta avoid.
He was wanting to take a friend of ours, and he was like, let's go get sushi. And I was like, she can't eat sushi. And he was like, why?
And that's all you want.
Pregnant. Can't eat sushi when you're pregnant.
The parasite that's already inside her could be damaged by the parasites that could be in the sushi.
Right.
An outside parasite.
Another endo parasite. Like,
you don't want a parasite war.
Yeah.
At that time, like, I don't
You
feel.
don't want that beef.
And then you are the host of 2 parasites. I mean, it just like one is enough.
One is enough. A pair of parasites.
Pair of
sites.
Pair. So I have a.
Anyways,
I'm known as the touchy-feely question guy.
Love.
So
very true.
My question for you is: so you, as a FCS professional, a horticulture person, a human being on this earth who just brightens up the world for the rest of us, what is what is it when you think spring? It could be food, it could be the natural world, it could be your personal world. When you think spring, in the world of like plants, horticulture, that kind of thing, what comes to mind for you?
Allergies.
Oh.
Yeah. I think spring is the season where I begin to simply fight for my life just through breathing.
Are you from Kentucky originally?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't sound that way because when I am on a recording, I tend to clean it up real good, like freshen that cornbread up real good.
Oh, wow.
So you can understand me. But the allergies.
Well, the reason I asked, my wife's from Pennsylvania, and she grew up never having allergies, and she moved to Kentucky, and it like almost wiped her out. So I didn't. It's just been that way for you the whole time.
Yeah, it's wild. When I was younger, I did not have allergies, like seasonal allergies, hardly at all. I might sneeze a little bit for a couple of weeks, but like it wouldn't be.
When the locust bloomed, I'd get a little sniffly, but.
Right, just a little bit. It was nothing near what has occurred in my sinuses as I've gotten.
You turn 30.
Right, you turn 30 and the world is like, let's try and find ways to kill you. And allergies, mine tend to be really bad in the spring. I've been taking allergy medicine daily in preparation for spring since the middle of March.
And warming up.
And we have survived a little bit, although I do feel some tickling going on in my nose and throat because the wind has been blowing all the beautiful leaves from those Bradford pear trees and everything around. Pollen is making its way. It's just, but it's hard to hate spring because you're so excited for, the weather to get better. The days are longer. The sunshine has returned, everything.
Are you more of a cold weather or hot weather guy?
Yeah, I do not like hot weather. No.
Okay, I have become a hot weather guy as I've gotten older.
Really?
Same.
I used to be a hardcore cold weather guy, and I don't know if my bones just can't handle it. Like it was like, normal temperature in our house this morning. I was like, oh, I'm so cold. I need to get the winter blankets back out.
I have like a little heater I run all summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't like the hot.
I don't love hot weather. It's funny. My dad used to love hot weather. I mean, love it. Hot weather. He would sit outside and it'd be 90 something degrees. And he's just sitting out there in his shorts and shirt reading the newspaper or whatever. And I'm thinking, I don't want to sit anywhere. I'm going to just be sweating, but I'm more of a spring, fall, definitely fall. Close second would be winter. Yeah. I like winter. I like it.
So okay, I'll try again. I struck out with allergies earlier, which was perfect response.
It was an excellent Kentucky response. That was like perfect.
Yeah, and so honest, just so.
If you've ever experienced allergies in Kentucky, it's rough.
We're good at that.
Yeah.
Well, so what's something
for those transplants? Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I said, especially for those people who transplant in.
Oh,
like
gosh.
it just like
they're not
your wife. It just wipes them out.
Yeah, they're not
and then
ready
it's
for
like
that.
20 degrees and then 80 degrees and then
what's happening here in the state?
And then a tornado comes through and throws a cow in your yard, and then it snows.
Then it's beautiful, and then it snows, and it's either raining, snowing, or warm on Derby Day. So who knows?
Who knows?
So what's something in the realm of plants, gardening, whatever, about summer that you're maybe looking forward to?
Tomatoes.
Okay.
I
Talk
did
to
not
me.
used to like tomatoes. Okay. I did not like tomatoes as a kid. I didn't like them. The texture, they're slimy, it's gross. They'll sully a sandwich and make the bread soggy. I can't deal. But now, as an adult, I can appreciate a homegrown tomato that has ripened on the vine. It is juicy and delicious. I think it's funny, however, okay, yeah, I know bacon isn't like the healthiest thing, but it certainly makes a tomato quite palatable on a piece of bread with some mayonnaise and some lettuce and a little bit of Dano's, whichever your favorite kind of Dano's seasoning, salt-free, of course, on there. Delicious. I love the tomatoes. I'm looking forward. I never thought I would,
What
but I'm
kind of
looking
bread are
forward.
you working with?
Oh, that's important because if you're going to make a sandwich, the bread is what makes the sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, anybody can make a sandwich, but if you've made your own bread, because Brett, I know you do.
Well,
Some
and you're a
fantastic
fermentation
bread,
person now, so it's become even more important to you.
right? One of these days, I'm gonna try. I'm so bad at sourdough. I don't know why. I need to work it out. But I might
Sourdough
need
is
some from
good,
you.
but oh, sorry.
I'm gonna get some of that bread from you for my sandwiches.
Yeah,
Because you're really good at making bread.
I like that. I like that.
Focaccia, the
Ooh.
easiest thing, and it seems
That is
fancy, but it's really
Very,
easy.
yeah.
Even
it's
I
very,
can
very
make
Very
it.
good.
simple.
Mhm,
Yep.
mhm.
Have
But
you
just
ever, Brett, made any focaccia where you've put like a homemade jam or something in and folded and done the stretch and pulls and then like dimple it and cook it and it's got the jam all through it?
I have not.
I saw a video that a girl did a strawberry jam one and a
Oh,
blueberry
wow.
jam one, and they
Yum.
look really good and really easy. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be yummy? Like, grow you some strawberries, make you some jam, which is super easy and yummy, and then
Freeze
make
your
your
jam.
focaccia and put it in there. Ooh, delicious.
Yeah, well, one of the things you're touching on about like food preservation and growing stuff and all that is that if you use that stuff to make something that you take to a party or to like someone's house or something, you've got like 12 more layers of story to tell about the thing. Like you're suddenly the interesting person at the party because you did these multiple
Right.
things, and it's not like, oh, I just snagged this at the grocery store,
Catch
which
me
is
with
great.
my lemon curd in the
Yeah.
winter.
Alexis
Like,
takes
Alexis's lemon
Alexis
curd
takes
is
it to
so
an
good.
extra level, if anyone can
So
imagine that.
good. Very special.
listen, nothing impresses horticulture department people, and when I showed up to that thing and I was like, oh yeah, this lemon curd is homemade with lemons I grew, that'll get plant people impressed. Like,
Yep.
I was the belle of the ball, or I'm gonna pretend that I was. Don't listen to anybody who told you otherwise.
Can confirm, delicious. And plus, it's, I don't know, it gives you an extra sense of pride when you grew the thing, you know,
yeah.
or made the thing and
or made the thing, like grew it and made it. Ooh.
Yeah, and that
store
has real
bought
value.
Yeah. When you can do a whole, like a meal, like sometimes, like I've gotten very close to having a full meal now at my house. That's like everything we have grown from like the protein to like the vegetables to, and I'm like, man, if I got my act together and I actually made some rolls tonight from scratch, like this whole plate.
Yeah,
would
get
have
your
been
act
like,
together, Jessica.
right?
How
Yes,
dare
Yeah. Oh
you?
my
Jessica.
gosh. You don't have
A
time
whole
to
farm and a
90%
full-time
of
job.
90% of the plate is
Wow.
something you produced. Why not 100? You
Right.
Yeah.
make
And
me
I just
sick.
sit there and I'm
Make
just
me
like, this
sick.
could be 100%.
Farm to
Does
table.
it count if you caught it but didn't raise it, but you cleaned it yourself?
I mean, yeah, I think
Are-
that
I
Does
think
that
that would
count?
work.
Are the boys impressed by the fact that like all this stuff came from your farm? Your children?
yes and no. Like they get some of it, right? I still don't think they have the full connection about the animals yet.
Well, they are
About
all
like
under 5, so
they are under 5.
Understandable.
But they are very, as Alethea mentioned earlier, about like connecting kids, like growing things into eating. They are definitely more willing to try different veggies and stuff because like we've grown them ourselves, or or we do like some of like maybe the harder things at our house, like we're trying to do like carrots or other things. And we did potatoes in a container last year, and they thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And they were like the tiniest potatoes, right? Like they should have been like you put too many pepper plants in there. I put too many potatoes in there.
What happens?
But they were still ecstatic about those potatoes that they got to pull out.
Because they grew them.
I'm ecstatic about them. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I'm more likely to eat things when I had something to do with the growing of it, because there's plenty of things in the garden that I probably wouldn't eat.
Kohlrabi.
I don't know. I eat a lot of vegetables, but kohlrabi, I don't know what to do with that thing. It looks like I don't know what. And
I'm sauteed it that one time. Remember, we went and harvested the little aliens out of the garden.
We did, and we roasted them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went through that really fun phase where we just roasted everything.
Was that before or after our smoothie phase?
It might have been like in conjunction with, because I feel like for a while we were doing a lot of vegetables.
We might have went into the roasted because we were like, we're sick of drinking all of our meals.
Yep.
We got really excited about smoothies.
Something. You know, it's nice to be able to chew something.
Let's use our teeth for something.
Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say kohlrabi. What's the big deal about it?
I like kohlrabi.
I mean, it's fine. It's
it's not like...
I just don't understand
I've never
why.
grown it.
We at a market.
I don't find it in the store.
When we used to sell when we first started selling at a market, there was a gentleman, and he only came at the beginning of the season, and he sold kohlrabi, and I never knew his name, and we just called him the kohlrabi guy, and he literally just sold kohlrabi, and people came and bought the kohlrabi, and I remember we got some once, and I was just like, this kind of just tastes like a broccoli stem. I don't know what to do with, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, maybe a little crispier, less tough, but like I'd rather just be eating cabbage.
Yeah, I mean, cabbage is
I would prefer broccoli.
Kohlrabi is easier to grow than cabbage in my experience. So
just
faster. I did just seed some kohlrabi in the mineral tubs that Jessica gave me last year. Super pumped about it, with my leftover tulip crate compost that I dumped in. So we're just reusing everything. But I sold kohlrabi and lettuce the other day. We'll report back with how that goes.
If that guy's name isn't Cole or Robbie, then what's he even doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, if I ever meet somebody whose last name is Robbie and there's not a Cole in their family, I will be super depressed. Like, your parents just missed out on an opportunity.
Great opportunity.
Just give him that nickname on the spot.
What up, Cole Robbie?
Cole? Mind if I call you Cole?
Who are you talking to?
Cole, what's up?
It'll be extra cool if they have never heard of kohlrabi, the vegetable, before. They're like, I don't understand.
I don't feel like it's super common. I don't feel like people are super aware of it.
Or Jessica's maiden name is Cole, and why she doesn't have a brother named Robbie, I'll never know, because that would be pretty cool.
Robbie Cole?
Yeah, Robbie Cole, but then it could be in some professional ways. It would be like a, Cole, comma, Robbie.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, if we didn't spell it out exactly clearly earlier, so Alethea is we're all part of this extension system. Alethea represents one of these fields called Family and Consumer Science, FCS. The rest of us are in this world of horticulture and agriculture to some extent. There's also 4-H, there's arts programs, there's community and economic development. And so that we're all part of this cooperative extension system. And you're our very, very first FCS guest ever. And I don't think we could have asked for a better first representative from that field, or just a better guest at all. But we'll look to expand a little bit more and have those offerings, or sorry, have some conversations with other folks who are, well, I guess technically Jan is sort of in that realm, Jan Nappage.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, not like full blown, not like
she's not like FCS.
Yeah.
Right. There's a difference.
She does give us a lot of really wonderful resources that we use a lot. A lot of horticulture and FCS go so well together. because you're talking about how to grow the food we eat, and I'm talking about how to make the food we eat edible.
But also the mental health that goes along with growing something, whether it's edible or not. And then you talk about, kind of ways, maybe you do some meditation in your garden, or
get in the garden, just simply getting in the garden and working with your hands.
Put your hands in some dirt. There's good microbes in there. Don't eat it though.
Don't eat the dirt. Well, not like a lot of it. I mean, like if you get a little bit, it's okay.
Yeah, like if you accidentally, get a little in your mouth, it's fine. But we don't
unfortunately say that too often these days.
Don't eat the dirt.
Don't eat dirt.
Don't eat dirt.
I have to tell my corgi Finn not to eat the worms. When it rains a lot, and all the worms come out, and they try and find some dry ground, and then they don't make it back, so they get a little dry. It's like worm jerky, and he goes around and scoops them up. So don't eat the worms, Finn. Sorry if I just screamed in your ear, but it's a consistent thing this time of year. So
at least all of our ears are ringing together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alethea, we appreciate you. We will put the info about that great book, as well as your contact information in the show notes, along with our Instagram, which you can find at Hort Culture Pod. Alethea obviously follows us already. Totally. 100%.
From the jump. From the beginning.
You can find it there. If you are one of those people who's into having this pulled up on YouTube and that's the way you listen, you can find us on there and also view our beautiful faces if you should so choose. Or, hopefully you just have us in your headphones while you're out in the garden doing that mental health and growing that kohlrabi. But if you've got questions about that, we'll throw some links about, maybe some candy and preservation, kind of the main UK area where you can go to that. And anyways, we appreciate you all being on. If you've got any questions you want us to forward to Alethea, feel free to reach out to our email, again, in the show notes, or you can contact her directly. And if you want to know more about FCS content, maybe you want to know something a little bit more specific, like, hey, deep dive on cabbage, fermentation, all that good stuff, let us know, leave us a review, find us on Instagram and tell us that is the next thing we need to do. And we'll call Alethea back up and be like, yo, girl, about that cabbage.
Let's see that sauerkraut.
We got to see that kraut, baby. So we'll bring that back. But we appreciate you guys being here today, and we hope that you have a good one and that you'll join us next time.